So the AMD RX 7700 XT, is it a good card today in 2024? Well, if you've been following the channel for a while and have seen a few of my other videos, which is probably very few of you because the channel is very small, so it's probably 3 people, but to the 3 of you, you probably know that I'm not the biggest fan of AMD GPUs when they come out. However, I am a pretty big fan of them after a few years since they have been released, when all their driver problems have been fixed, their overheating issues have been sorted, and there are guides out there on how to modify them properly to work as they should. And that's also what I do on the channel, by the way. I just show how to fix these cards. But I think the RX 7700 XT may already be mature enough for it to be a good card. So here's my opinion on it, since I just did a build for a client with it. Well, a client, it's like a friend of mine, and he will probably be watching this video. But anyways, unbiased opinion because I bought the card. Well, he bought it, but yes, let's go ahead. So, little bit of specs for those of you who don't know. It's a $450 graphics card, which is supposed to compete with NVIDIA, basically, not the 4070 because it just loses, but it wants to be in between the 4060 Ti and the 4070, pretty much. That's where this card is supposed to be. And the pricing reflects that, because it's definitely cheaper than even the cheapest of the RTX 4070s. So, now the major issue that people had with this card is that not much higher in price point, there is the 7800 XT. However, I have a very peculiar reason for which I prefer this card over the 7800 XT, and that is the power efficiency. Now, this is a card that is rated at 240 watts of underload power consumption. However, this Sapphire model, which is a reference replacement because AMD didn't do a reference design because, I don't know. Basically, out of the box, it clocks at 230 watts because Sapphire basically saw that by sacrificing just 1% in FPS, they could get 10 watts out of it, which is great if you ask me. So the first thing is it's a very efficient card, and especially in a 3-fan design like this one, which looks really cool, by the way. It's much lighter than NVIDIA cards, it's thinner, and it draws very little power while being very quiet. All characteristics which are generally not part of AMD, okay? So I'm liking this card so far. But the reason why I really like it is a bit more technical. And no reviewer talked about this in depth as they should have. So this card out of the box comes in at 1.15 volts of GPU core voltage. You can set the core voltage to 1 volt flat. Okay, you just open up Afterburner, just put the voltage to 1 volt. You don't change anything else in the card, and you're getting like 50 watts less. So this card is now drawing less power than an RTX 4060. And the card is actually performing better. How is that possible? Well, it's because AMD is not the best company for binning their GPUs. So binning is the process in which you select your silicon and like tune it to be stable and to work properly. Now, since AMD has had a lot of problem with this in the past, today they are just overvolting their cards, so they are sure that they are working. But if we tweak them a little bit, just a little bit, we can make them go much better. So just by lowering the voltage, you're gaining temperature, power consumption, and you're gaining performance without even touching the core clock, because it has a boosting algorithm like Ryzen CPUs and like every modern day GPU. So it automatically clocks based on temperature points and power load points, pretty much. So yeah, you should undervolt it, but this is not the end, because if you just touch the voltage, you gain that. But if you tweak the card and give it like 10% more on the memory via Afterburner and like play around with the core clock a bit, you get actually real performance. I've tested it in like 15 games. You get 20% more performance. 20%, guys! It's a figure that is unheard of in today's market, because a while back, like 2018, you could get like a GTX 980 Ti, overclock it, get like 30% out of it. That was amazing. 980 Ti still goes faster than a 1070 if you overclock it and BIOS mod it. You could do that back in the day. It's why I made those videos about the RX Vega 56 being great, because you can just BIOS mod it and get like 50% more performance out of it. The GTX 780, you BIOS mod it, get 35% out of it. And now you're telling me that we can do it with no BIOS mod and get a nice 20% on a modern day card? That's great, because the comparison, the RTX 4070, if you really push it, you can get maybe 10% real extra performance, but here you're getting 20. So if you guys have seen the launch reviews for this card, you know already, but I will repeat it to you. Basically, at stock, this card is faster by 20% than a 4060 Ti. It loses to a 4070 by roughly 10%. It loses to a 7800 XT for roughly 15%, let's say. And talking about all generation GPUs, so the 3000 series, this card is exactly in between a 3070 Ti and a 3080, okay? Follow me with this. So this is the performance metric, pretty much. So we can call this card a 3070 Ti, pretty much. It is. It's what it is, but it has 12 gigabytes of VRAM, which is nice. Now, apply the 20% performance increase to it. What does it mean? Well, this card is all of a sudden faster than a 3080, faster than an RTX 4070 by quite a while. It matches an overclocked RTX 4070. It doesn't match the 4070 Super, okay? Yeah, cool. But do you understand? That's a game changer. After being tweaked, this card catches the 7800 XT. So yes, AMD has done it again, like in the Vega times, where you would just buy a Vega 56, BIOS-mod it, and have a Vega 64. So that brings me to the conclusion pretty much, that is that, yeah, I do recommend you buy this card for the right price if you want to buy a brand new card. On the used market, there are better choices because you can get a 3080, which I think is the best card at the moment to buy, because the 4070 is still a bit overpriced. 4070 is better because it's more efficient, right? But the 3080 costs less, and if you undervolt it, you gain back some of the efficiency, so it's not bad. But if you're looking at just the brand new market, this is, I think, the card to get in the under 500 euros price range for 1080p high refresh rate or 2K 4040p high refresh rate. Still, you can play with this card depending on the game. And you can run it on a very, very cheap power supply. Now, I'm not saying you should cheap out on your power supply, but I'm just saying you can run it on a 600 watts or even a 550 watts power supply if you want to, which is great, and it's something you cannot do, for example, with a 3080. I mean, you can, but you're really risking it, right? So, yeah, I think if you're in the market for one, the drivers are not too bad. Support at the moment is not too bad. You can buy one, but only if you're prepared to spend some time with it, tinker with it, overclock it, undervolt it properly, and make it run as it should. So with that said, let me know what you think about it. Let me know if you have one. Let me know if you have some issues which I haven't covered, or if you think there is a better card on the new market, better than this at the moment. Let me know down in the comments, and maybe drop a like and a sub. And yeah, I hope I will see you guys in another video, so maybe the recurrent viewers will be 4 instead of 3. I would really like it. And yeah, see you in the next one. Bye.